going down, cultivators? Steven here, dropping in with another artist before they make it big. You mind telling me about yourself?
Howdy, my name is Rico. I have one company that kind of breaks into two. One of them is like mostly just doing like signs for companies, industrial marketing, some safety stuff like for indoor stuff. But the one I really want to talk about is mostly like the artistry behind it. Like I used that as practice to get me better at making these designs because I'm not too good at talking with people on like emotional value. Mm-hmm. But I feel that having pictures could actually help get people together and start talking about something that they might not usually talk about.
Yeah, I mean, they say pictures are worth 1,000 words. So
yeah, like
let the art do all the talking for you.
Yeah, and it's like interesting because whenever I do certain stuff, I will describe it a certain way, but then the moment I show someone, they see it in a different way, and it's like interesting to see like why that happens. I think it's mostly because like how memories are formed. You know, certain objects, certain colors, and just scents get encoded into the brain, and depending on when those bring up, you can like bring back those memories.
Yeah.
You know, to some people, loud noises aren't like good, like fireworks. They get scared and like PTSD from like, soldiers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you show someone something like that, they'll freak out. Same thing with whenever you do colors, shapes in the art. It tends to bring back like memories of certain things. And it's interesting just showing someone something. They're like, oh, I see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting how the brain works. Everybody's brain works pretty different. Not going to lie. But so tell me, how did you get started being an artist and kind of figuring out that you enjoyed creating?
From a young age, I've always liked drawing, or I used to be that kid just kind of sat in like my room, just draw, listen to some music. I noticed that I wasn't good. And that's kind of what killed it a little bit for me. So I think from the age of high school to now, maybe like 10 years, basically, of like, I stopped doing any drawings because I just felt like I wasn't good enough to, when I showed people, it didn't make like an impact.
Yeah.
I coincidentally got into a line of work where doing these designs, like simple logos or just words, like, I guess if I could say too, like some of the stuff I've done for you guys, like the business cards and some of those designs, like they're very simple, and it allows for someone to take those small steps into like getting better.
Yeah.
Once I figured out how to do like simple kind of work where 3 or 4 layers now in my head became 1 step instead of 4 steps, it was easier for me to then do something more. Yeah. And then AI systems now, like you can mess with those things and kind of get some like, what is it? Some inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to know what you want because if you're not really having it in your mind and you try to draw something, you're like halfway through there, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But like these AI systems, you can kind of tell it to do something. It kind of gives you an idea to whether you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. Let me try to pick that apart and add some things and remove some things.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the use of AI, I won't lie. I'm studying it for like 5 years now. And then just getting used to programming and making systems out of it. It's definitely been some fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because like AI is starting to become a thing where like I see human life right now is kind of like not wrong, but we could be very different. AI is going to definitely teach us in a different way where you have people saying we need to become more spiritual, more in tune with nature. And others are saying where it's like technology is going to take over our day-to-day life, our phones and stuff already like that. But it's like, I don't know if you checked about like Neuralink, how it's been setting up some stuff. From the little stuff that I understood from it, it's like you have 2 people with these kind of systems and they're able to communicate like at almost an instant. Like you can transfer emotions or like just certain feelings you can't put into words, through that. And that's kind of like, well, I saw that and I was like, well, why can't we do it? Why can't we start doing it without technology? And that's kind of back to like artistry. There's certain people who do some pieces and it's like to them it means something and you can't describe that to people.
Yeah, it's just invoking a feeling.
Yeah, you let the art talk for itself.
Hell yeah. And so how did you really get your art to stand out amongst other artists that are in Houston or in the same industry as you?
I think what's going on with me right now is that I'm doing more like death. more like of time and death, like a philosophy. I think a lot of people forget like how long we live for, and at the same time how short our life is.
Yeah.
You know, we have 60-year-olds, 60-year-old people who in time they still have another 20 to 40 years left of their life. You know, they barely live 60 to 50% of their life, or not 50, 60 to like 70% of their life. Well, I'm like 28. I haven't even lived half of their time.
Yeah.
Like, how much have they experienced more? Like you don't really start living until you're 15. That's my deal, 15, 20 years old.
Yeah, I'm 20 right now.
You know, so it's like right now, you're barely going to start living life, even though you've already lived for 15 years or 20 years before that. Someone has been living those lives from 30 to 45. They've gone through so much more that I need to figure out a way how to put that in my art. Like I always say, you either go to heaven or hell, or, you know, whatever thing you're thinking of going to an afterlife. But the point of it is you still die.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think you learn how life is until you die. Like people who have gone through hardships and sometimes trauma, they felt like their life was done. They've kind of touched death. And the moment they touch death, they can then kind of come back and
revitalize themselves.
Yeah, you know, just I talk with like doing this kind of business also has helped me talk to a lot of like also older gentlemen. People who like tend to run companies for a little longer, 50, 60, and ask them how they're doing. Like almost like surprisingly, but a lot of people just say, as long as I'm awake and breathing, like I'm happy.
Yeah, it's the small things. I mean, like, especially when you realize how much your art makes a difference in somebody's life, it's crazy. I mean, I know that coming from my own personal standpoint. Creating art is literally what gives most artists their will to live. When they're not creating, they're dying. And I think that's very symbolic in a sense, because everything in life has loops. You go up, you go down, but regardless, you never break outside of it. Kind of like a Fibonacci sequence, I guess. It'd be considered.
I mean, yeah, in a way, kind of like, because I mean, every single time, maybe like a little bit of an inverse, because like as you get older, a minute is worth like if you put it as a whole story, if you're 100 years old, a minute ain't really much compared to someone who's like 10.
Yeah,
you know, and the percentage of what it is of like your time is different for sure.
Yeah,
and the one part that I think I heard in the beginning is that. Like have you noticed most artists like Van Gogh and a lot of these other people, I think they start drawing sometimes their best stuff when they're depressed.
Yeah, like Picasso, the fucking blue era, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that line of work he did. As a kid, I wasn't a fan of it, but then I got diagnosed with depression, and I looked back at it and I was like, damn, this conveys an entirely different emotion. I see it from a different perspective now. It's wonderful. It's like certain music, like who's somebody I can really appreciate, like Kevin's Heart from J. Cole, right? As an example, when it first came out, that was my least favorite song on the album. When he dropped KOD, I think that was the album, right? But then I come back and listen to it years later, going through some other stuff, and I was like, damn, this song hits. Yeah, it hits like motherfucker.
Songs are definitely like artists. Like a lot of artists go through their more depressing times and even their worst times. Like rappers tend to do really good because they speak from like their realities and then what they feel, and like a lot of people feel those pains too.
It's like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she feels pain and she sometimes she releases sometimes the best music, and it's interesting how we like humans enjoy or take joy out of the periods of people's like worst times.
Yeah.
But I think again, it hits the soul. It hits like what humans are like. Humans feel pain.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes like people don't like to talk about that pain. It's like, no, let's talk about good things.
They see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
I feel like it's strength from that.
Yeah. And it's actually I heard a podcast from you guys with Miles, the cigar lounge person, the mobile cigar lounge.
Oh yeah.
And he talked about how he gets together with, you know, individuals that have an open lounge to come sit, like smoke or don't smoke. And that's really cool because I think the percentages of people going there are like men, and men don't like to talk about their pain. They don't like to talk about like that's going to make me feel weak, you know, but they feel more open to it when there's a large group of people talking about it that you don't feel as vulnerable to like say that.
Yeah.
And it's like to bring, I guess, back to the art. Like some people don't like to talk about it, but they at least hopefully get to show it to where someone else sees it, and like having these 5 to 10 minute talks with people, or sometimes they get bored. So why not show them a picture and let them like figure it out for themselves?
Yeah.
It's like I have, like I said, that those kind of one company that I work on marketing and advertising for these like industrial and commercial signs. I am a company who solves problems, and that's like a good, successful company, solves problems for people. When I do artistry, I don't plan on making money because I'm not going to solve people's problems. I'm like, not directly. I am in a way hopefully going to help them solve their problem by looking at something and bringing back these like thoughts and going into themselves and thinking about who they really are, and just finding out who they are, and hopefully help themselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they have those challenges, but have you ever faced any challenges along your journey of artistry? I know you said you didn't feel like you were the best for a time. How have you been able to kind of counteract that and now create business from doing so for yourself?
I think to be a little blunt is just not caring what someone else thinks. That's
the best way to do it.
Yeah, like every single time I was doing these signs and these arts for people, for companies, I'm always doing something they want. And that's what's making money. That's what's actually providing food for me to eat and have a decent life. But whenever like I try to do my own art, it's not going to sell. You show it to 100 people, only maybe one person's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," So it's like it's eventually if you end up creating because you end up finding yourself as you do the art. You'll start seeing what you like best, and little by little you'll start more. Not perfecting, but sharpening those skills on that one specific like way of making art.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you have the same feelings and there's other people who are like kind of same thought like you, they'll end up picking up whatever you do. Yeah. It's like if you like cars and you draw cars, eventually, if you're good and you have some kind of message behind it, then people in the car community are gonna do that.
They're gonna love it.
Yeah, they're gonna love it. And
yeah, you tickle that part of their brain.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like some people love to do certain things and that others hate to do. But it's like it
brings them joy.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just because like that's more cool than that. It's just that there's something in their selves or their how they got brought up or their feelings that they like that more than the other person.
Yeah. Do you have any stories of how your art's really impacted somebody else's life just from viewing it?
Actually, yeah. There was one that I have actually here if I don't mind showing it.
Yeah, please.
This one right here. Grab the mic. It's like this. So what this one is, I had actually shown someone and like at the job I was at before, and some lady kind of like took a pause and I was like, oh, like what it was, right? I told her my part where I see two different humans like creating like a new person, right? Like getting together and putting their own essence and who they are into like a pot, a flaming pot. It's black in the middle because I still don't think that those two people create everything of that person. There's something that the soul has that is unique to you that two other people just can't give to you. And someone looked at it and they had thought it was really good because, and it was a little sad because this lady actually ended up losing her baby when it was like born, right? And she kept blaming herself, or it was my fault, I didn't take care of myself, and she went into like a little bit of depression. Her husband helped her out, kind of. There's still you can't fully help someone out like that because it's something that they themselves only felt. What she said was like it was true that it's like this kind of, and it's weird, right? I think about it as like a beauty of life, and she thought about it as more of a
why me?
Oh, like yeah, it wasn't me. It's not like, and this was much after she had already kind of got over that, and she understood to the part that it wasn't just her. It's just some stuff happens that is out of her control.
It happens for us, never against us, never anything like that. I was gonna say, yeah, show the camera. That was gorgeous, by the way.
See, the light kind of hits it.
Yeah. Get a look at that, cultivators. That is clean, crisp.
Yeah. I definitely. I'll give you one of these, by the way. I have a bunch of stuff to give you guys.
For real, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel as though you've made a difference now with your art in the community of Houston?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have, since because I've been starting. I just started maybe 4 or 5 months ago. There's a couple people that I'm starting to kind of like, I guess,
Entice?
what is it? Like I said, I'm not good with words, right? But I'm starting to maybe get some people to understand who I am, to where now they're listening a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the sad thing that there's some really smart people out there. I'm not saying that I'm the smartest person, but some really smart people out there who are like boring to people. I don't listen to that guy because he's boring.
Yeah.
So you got to give him a little bit of enticement to kind of be like, hey, who's that guy? Hey, who's that? You know?
The thing is, a lot of people's brains are on different frequencies from others. So it's like a radio station. You tune in, you don't find it enjoyable until like a canon event happens, and now, caught my attention. It's an emotional factor. It's so much stuff. That's why you plant the right seed with enough water and sunlight. Seed's gonna grow. They're gonna come back.
Yeah.
Ask a question.
Yeah.
That's usually how it always works.
Yeah, and I think it's a little sad, but at the same time, that's just how humanity works.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure it's. You always somewhat have to be better, not the best, but just better. That way, you continue just enticing people to listen, and also just keep up with not being dull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you have any like landmark moments in your journey so far along the way? Anything that stands out to you the most?
Artistry, no, but I think just in how I've kind of lived life, very like reclusive. I've tried not to necessarily be like out there, right? One, just the fear of like, someone's gonna say, hey, dude, you're wrong. Like, shut up. You're saying some dumb stuff. Don't say that, right? But I think internally, I've seen the world do certain stuff where I feel like I can predict what's coming up next, and I'm like not by event, but just by saying, oh yeah, there's something wrong with that person. Let's talk to them.
Yeah.
Or that they seem like they're having a really good time. What can we do to boost up and help them out even more? And again, through art, I've been able to tell people like, hey, this is how I feel about you. What do you think?
Yeah.
And it helped out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your dream vision? How do you want to leave your mark on the world with your art?
I think it's make people happy. Make people happy. Make them understand that just because they're feeling the type of way now doesn't mean that that's always going to be their life. They get to choose. If they feel like they want to be sad their whole life, then like
let them.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. There's some people who are out there with actual like depressed, like clinically depressed. There's very little things they can do about it, but it's small steps that can help people actually get out of that. And it starts with you yourself.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as long as make people happy, pretty good.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So where can everybody at home get in touch with you? You got like Instagram, website?
Yeah.
I was like, plug it all in.
I got a Instagram. It's Rico's Idea. It's Rico_idea. You can always hit me up my email if you guys have any inquiries. It's info@ricosidea.com. If you just want to talk, just want to have a good time, whatever, say some stuff, I'm here to listen. You can also call me at my number at 281-901-2693. Hope everyone has a good day.
That's awesome, man. Well, cultivators, it's been great cutting up with Rico. Hope you guys tune into the next one. I'm going to see y'all later. Peace.